Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today we're on episode 99 for those who get that reference. Woo! And joining me is a guest who is, and I just double checked this, has the highest number of downloads as a guest for an episode that's not directly related to a trailer or a new release. So, very exciting. If you haven't guessed already, you've probably read the artwork anyway, so come on, it's not a surprise. But from Rogue Podron, from Blaster Canon, Saf, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you going?
I'm going all right. You know, we're just talking off air before we started about, are the walls closing in, and is everyone going crazy and stuff? And you're sort of, I'm stuck with small little children housemates, and you're just stuck with your regular housemates. So, you know. Yeah,
my regular housemates. Yeah, and one of them is playing Overwatch in the background, so I apologize to anyone who hears that.
Oh, that's okay. that's not a problem. It's you got to do what you got to do when you're stuck inside.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's video games.
Yeah, exactly. This must be like, are you getting all the appreciation and the love that you deserve as a video game person now that everyone's so dependent on video games? Or
yeah, I would say so. It depends. You know how gamers can be.
they're like Star Wars fans, right? Aren't they? They're just completely level-headed about everything.
So lovely. Never a complaint ever.
I just been playing old stuff. Like I just finished the Switch remaster of Link's Awakening, so I finished that.
Oh my god, Link's Awakening was like one of the first games I ever played, so that has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, so which is great, you know, and it was awesome. And then I'm just like, I'll just play I got like the original Gears of War for like $10 for all three. I'm like, I'll just play those. That's easy. You know, like my gaming isn't overly challenging. People are like, I got Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, no, that looks too hardcore for me.
It is very hardcore.
And then like people getting into Animal Crossing, but I'm going, I don't have the kind of time with Animal Crossing. I don't have got Animal Crossing time. I've got Just Dance 2020 with my 4-year-old time. That's what I've got.
That's all you need, honestly.
Yeah, so it's not bad. It's not bad. So what have you been doing to while the hours away?
So I still have, my freelance job for game design, which I've been working on as well. Just kind of like trying to fill the time with whatever I feel like doing at any particular given time. So like watching movies or playing games or just like going for a walk around the block because I need to leave the house. Just mostly a lot of writing, honestly.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad. Like, I guess sort of, I don't know. I sort of have this thing where I'm like, I'm jealous of people who don't have children and they've got other stuff to do. But at the same time, it's like, at least we're not really running out of stuff to do and feeling like we're staring at the walls or anything. You know what I mean? Like it's always like go, hands on. So it's a bit different. But how's your Star Wars life going at the moment? Does it feel like stuff's just kind of not much going on? Kind of just hanging around?
Yeah, it's kind of just hanging around. I've been keeping up with the Clone Wars, but kind of like on a delay because I keep forgetting the new episodes coming out because of like time zones happening, I guess. And actually because people are being respectful and not spoiling stuff on Twitter. So I'm not like feeling rushed to watch an episode when it drops. So I've been digging that. And on Rogue Podron, I'm just making, because my birthday month, I'm making Rogue Podron read Twilight Company, which is my favorite Star Wars book. So it's been good to kind of dive back into that and be like, ooh, I love this book.
Did you say it's your birthday month? Did you say?
Yeah, the month of my birthday. So I'm just like, we're doing Twilight Company.
You know, my birthday's on Christmas Eve, so I don't really have birthday day. Damn. I don't even have birthday day, let alone birthday month. Like I've always never done anything on my birthday. So people are like, oh yeah, it's my birthday week or my birthday month. I'm like, you got no idea. You don't know what it's like out there, man.
Yeah, my sister has her birthday really near Christmas as well, so she likes to do a birthday thing like halfway through the year.
She's like, let's just clear everything. And then she's like, this year we're going to do it, something huge. And then it's like everyone's locked down. She's like, oh, goddamn. I should have just kept it in
that was me this year, yep.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, my daughter turns 5 in July, and we're just kind of like looking at it going, how's this going to go? And she's been talking about her birthday party since about December. So, yeah, we might have to break it to her, but we'll see. You know,
we'll see. Maybe by that time it'll be okay.
Yeah, well, you know, it's not going to be the COVID-19 podcast, but in the scheme of things, Australia and New Zealand are looking pretty good compared to a lot of other places. So
yeah, not so bad.
Being on an island certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Just like shut that shit down and just
yeah, for once, doors. Like being far away is actually a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, have you given up the celebration dream this year? Do you feel like that's just not going to happen now?
Yeah, I actually wasn't planning on going to Celebration this year unless like something happened that meant I could go. So like,
Like
a little
a
part of me
global
is like, if it
pandemic
doesn't,
that pushes it down
Yeah.
back a year.
yeah, I was like, if it doesn't happen this year, I'm gonna be bummed for everyone else. I'm also gonna be like, at least I'm not missing Celebration, which feels a little bit mean.
I shouldn't have done all that praying.
yeah.
Dear God, please find a way to push celebration back for a year, and I'll be really good. And yeah,
I didn't want to do that. I want like, please God, give me a lucrative game development contract, which is very unlikely. But yeah, I was still planning on coming over and visiting some Star Wars people this year anyway, so I am bummed that probably won't get to happen. I mean, if Celebration is next year, I'll probably get to go now.
silver linings and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? Were you planning on going?
Yeah. So we sort of had a similar crew that went over last time, and we pretty much, as soon as they announced, I think leading up to the last celebration, it felt like it was a once in a lifetime thing to go. And then once we got to the end of it, we're just like, well, we got to do that again. Like
Yep, I know that feeling.
We'll start planning, and then as soon as they kind of, the last day, they're like, and we're coming back next year. Well, that was just a surprise because we didn't think they'd do it back to back, especially with no movie.
Yeah.
And so we this year has been like, as soon as the dates got announced, I sort of booked accommodation the day the dates were announced, even before we had passes. And I was just like, I'll just get passes. They were fine last time. And luckily, I got up at 2 a.m. and got passes, and we had them and everything. So we've got a little Facebook group of all the people who went last time and the people who were supposed to be coming with us. We've just been, it's kind of just turned in from the planning celebration thing to the COVID-19 group, and now the potential talking about like what could happen next, the lockdown group, what everyone's going on in lockdown stuff. So the dream's still alive. I think we kind of think they'll just postpone it till next year. I don't think it really hurts.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
all.
Too.
Like, what difference does it make? There's no movie. It's not as if episode 9 is coming out at the end of the year, or episode 10 or anything. It doesn't really matter. So
yeah, I guess there's no huge rush for it. I mean, they probably want the money, but like, there's not going to be much money in holding this year, I feel. So yeah, if it gets postponed, like, which I think they would do, I can't see them like or totally outright cancelling it. Like GDC, the Game Developers Conference, was meant to be last month, but obviously that got postponed. But they postponed it till like August or something, and everyone's just like, really? Are you sure that's going to happen?
Well, that's when,
so I feel like Celebration will get postponed to next year instead of later this year.
Well, it doesn't matter because they're talking about like San Diego Comic-Con going that because it happens every year, if it doesn't happen, it's effectively cancelled because Celebration is just this arbitrary time they just decide to do it or not do it. It's like, well, it's just next year. It doesn't matter. It's not cancelled. We could postpone it forever until we want to. It doesn't really make much difference. But
and they know people will still want to go because it's Celebration, and like, I would love to go again. So I'll be there in the future,
whatever that will be. I mean, it was kind of like, it was pretty much a year ago. I had some friends on last week on the show who we went over with last time. We were talking about the year, and then this year all the Facebook memories and everything started coming up, and all the photos and things. And I think that's when it really started to hit home. I think that was sort of the moment.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I've been getting like Google photos being like, look what you were doing 3 years ago. And I'm like, okay, just remind me about Celebration. That's fine.
Just rub it in. I'll just have to pray it away for next year. Now, we haven't spoken for a while. Obviously, we chat online and stuff.
Yeah.
But where did you land on Rise of Skywalker? Yes. How was your Rise of Skywalker like journey to the movie? Like, did you sort of get your crew together at home and go out, and how did it all play out for you?
Yeah, so I have like my group of flatmates who are like my main group of friends in this area, and for like most of the big movie premieres, we go to them together. And so we've been going to Star Wars movies, since the start, basically. And so all my flatmates, possibly another friend, I can't remember, went to the midnight premiere together. Because in New Zealand, unlike Australia, we don't have evening showings when the Star Wars movies come out. We only have the midnight premiere.
No, we don't have that. We don't have them. That's a misconception. So we get midnight as well. America.
Right, but some people I know in Australia did get evening showings. Maybe not for Rise of Skywalker, but for Last Jedi they definitely did.
That might have been some sort of sneaky premiere press screening or something, maybe. But
I see.
General public get midnight because it's weird in America because they go, oh no, we get it. We get 7 p.m. screenings. I'm like, yeah, but they're the day after. Like they don't get it.
They're like 2 days after us, basically.
They suck. We rule. So right, so we did midnight as well. So you just hit the midnight. Did you favorite seats? I suppose these days online booking you don't have to queue up or anything, do you?
Yeah, my flatmate got the seats. I think they were okay. I think they were like general back middle seats. I dressed up fancy because I was like, I might as well. It's the last time that I'm gonna like go see a big Star Wars movie for a while at midnight premiere. So dressed up all nice, and I was definitely the best dressed person at the premiere.
But hang on, is that like you're wearing like an evening gown or like a Princess Leia outfit or like we're talking?
It was like a
combo.
It was like an evening play suit instead of a gown with like high heels and like everything.
Oh, nice.
Because I didn't like previous years I usually like do a kind of like closet cosplay kind of thing. So like for the Force Awakens I wore like kind of a Princess Leia inspired thing. I don't remember what I did for the Last Jedi because that time was just a blur.
I can't remember the time I went outside, let alone Last Jedi. When the Last Jedi was
Last Jedi. That was just a lot. So yeah, I got dressed up nice. We all went out. We all watched a movie, and I think all of us generally liked it. So it was pretty good atmosphere once we got out. We were all like, "Oh, that was good." And then I think me and my flatmate went and watched it the next day again together because we like want to see it again. And then we saw it a third time together. So yeah.
Okay, so you walked away feeling pretty good. Did you?
Yeah. Well, basically, before I went in, my like main thing, like I was like, I don't like to go into movies with any expectations. Like, I didn't really have any expectations for this movie except like, I didn't want Ray to die. There were things I like hoped for, obviously, but I didn't actually expect anything. I was basically like, I want to go in. If I get a weird, wild story and like a fun ride, that's all I care about. And I got that, so I was like, I'm good. And then I was like, oh no, all the Americans are gonna hate this movie.
It's just I came out of it sort of just like that was a lot to take in. And I was kind of buzzing around doing stuff at the podcast, so I grabbed sort of friends and we talked and talked about it and stuff. And there were a couple of people who are pretty bummed, and there are a few who are just kind of like, I'm not sure what to make of this. And then another friend of ours was just upset that Ben Solo had died, and there was a mix of things going on. But it was sort of the other viewings. I think I saw it 3 or 4 times, maybe even 5 hours. But the less pressure around the screening, the more I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And it's kind of like obviously it's all self-imposed pressure. But when you're on a Star Wars podcast and you go to Celebration and you do all this stuff, it is sort of like there is a journey, and you're like leading up to this thing, and you want it to be good and stuff. But I enjoyed it. I still think it's probably my least favorite of the 3, but I still like it. I find the other 2 better, but I feel like there's just less. It's always harder. I think when it's the last hurrah, it puts a lot of pressure on itself. And we put
a lot of people
expect
a lot from it.
Yeah, I mean, do you, as obviously you do game development and writing, you do a lot of writing and stuff. Do you like put your writer's hat on sometimes when you watch something like this and go, like, I'm not saying rewrite the film, but do you kind of watch it and just go, because it's a notoriously, this has been rewritten, new writers changed over. Can you look at it with your writer's hat and go, like, they're just running by the seat of their pants trying to get something out here?
Yeah, I try my best whenever I watch Star Wars movies to not put my writer hat on, because it could get a little mean when I do that. I get a little bit mean when I put my writer's hat on and look at things. What did I just drop? It's fine. And I know a lot of people wish that they'd planned out this whole trilogy to begin with, but I feel like that would take a lot of the fun out of what we ended up getting, because like it's wild, it's weird. I really like. I was worried before Rise of Skywalker that Abrams would take what Rian Johnson did and just like throw it away. But I was actually like really interested from watching the movie how he kind of took those things and then ran with them in a way that I didn't necessarily expect. So like I wouldn't say the movie's like the best written movie, because the like pacing is off. Like there's some character beats that are a little bit weird. And like a lot of that's just because it's a really big movie, and like making a movie like this is just a miracle in itself. The fact that this movie exists at all.
Have you watched?
I really enjoyed the way that he like really took Rian Johnson's kind of things and then made them his own things.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, it's funny because it's, this obviously there's discourse, and discourse is par for the course in this fandom, and lots of fandoms, not exclusive to Star Wars. But I mean, a lot of it comes out of like, Rian Johnson just took, ignored J.J. Abrams' movie and threw it away and did his own thing. And then it was, oh no, J.J. Abrams took Rian Johnson's movie and threw away all these things. But it was like, Rian Johnson sets The Last Jedi the day after The Force Awakens. So the characters are exactly the place where he picks them up basically where they are, where they were left on, kind of stuff like that. And then so much of like the stuff that hinges in Rise of Skywalker, the connection between Kylo and Rey was all built in Last Jedi. Like they all owe each other a lot in those films. It's kind of weird it's a weird thing to suggest. I think it's sort of just, I don't know, not agendas, but just people trying to find a way to rationalize it, I suppose.
Yeah, it is really weird. Like, there's this weird idea in fandom that Rian Johnson and Abrams like hate each other and each other's Star Wars things, which I absolutely don't think is true. Like, Rian very clearly wanted to step away from the trilogy after finishing The Last Jedi, but he very clearly also really enjoyed working with what Abrams had given him. Like, he really took those characters and then like ran with what he'd been given and pushed them a little bit further to kind of like, push what Star Wars was. Yep. And some people liked that and some people didn't, but I definitely don't think what he was doing was in any way trying to trash on The Force Awakens or what Abrams had built, because obviously he had a lot of respect for it. And also, like, at the same time, he was like, this is what I'm doing with this movie, but he obviously was leaving it open for Abrams to be like, or for the next director at the time, because it wasn't necessarily going to be Abrams, being like, this is what I have, but this is what I'm giving you. Like, that's why he kind of left it with like none of the characters have anything. Like, it's a very blank canvas at the end of that movie. And
it's the second chapter. And the second chapter is to take your heroes and put them in the worst possible, is to make them face their worst nightmares, or make them, have true adversity, and you come through with a little glimmer of hope. It's the crew on the Falcon with the broken lightsaber, and there's 10 people in the Resistance left, is no different to Luke and Leia on the medical frigate. What do we go from here? It's a classic second chapter kind of stuff. It's weird to think that somehow that the people expected The Last Jedi to kind of end like they wanted, like Return of the Jedi to end or something. I don't know.
It's like, no, it's the second of a trilogy. There's a thing that people don't really like, that I've always noticed with trilogies, because I'm a really big fan of the trilogy kind of like structure of things. Like, I just love trilogies. And like one of the big things is that the second chapter of a trilogy, the middle one, is like the less cared about. Like, generally, except for Empire, obviously, like the one exception, but like generally not as many people will read it or watch it. They want to read the start and then the ending, but they don't really care about the little middle bit. So a lot of people kind of don't entirely realize what the middle part of a trilogy is, which is, leading up to everything crashing down so you can lead into the final book, which is kind of that final push. And so when everyone was talking about how The Last Jedi got less viewings and all that stuff, I was like, yeah, because it's the middle movie of a trilogy. Like, the same thing happened with the middle two movies of the Hunger Games as well. I think they got less. I think Catching Fire did well. Yeah, exactly. I think Catching Fire did fine, but like the first Mockingjay did not do great, and then the second Mockingjay did better because it's the final movie. Yeah. I could be wrong on that. It's been a while since I've looked at that stuff. But yeah, because like I've talked about it a little bit on Blaster Canon, I think, but I think what Abrams did with like Rey in particular is stuff that couldn't have actually worked that well, like making her a Palpatine. Couldn't have worked. She couldn't have had that arc that she has in it without having had the arc in The Last Jedi where she becomes comfortable with being nobody and that her family is the people around her. Like, without that, if she had just like straight up gone from The Force Awakens to to Rise of Skywalker, and Palpatine being like, hey, I'm your granddad, I'm your family now, and she'd be like, oh my god, that's my family, and probably like run off to him because she hadn't entirely had that arc yet and she really wanted to find that bloodline. Yeah.
So where did you, like, that moment when when Kylo says you're a Palpatine, and were you kind of, we're like, oh, I don't know about this. So just like, did you like screw your face up a little bit, or can you remember what happened?
I can't remember. So my flatmate Kelly, who came to Celebration with me last year, they're also quite a big Star Wars fan. And so we were sitting next to each other during the movie. And I think at that moment, like, I do a thing when I'm like in movies and I get really shocked by something. I'll like slap the people around me, like not in the face, but I'll like slap their arms. And I remember doing it in The Force Awakens when Han yells Ben, and I was like, oh my god, his name is Ben. And so I think at that moment was when I was like, bam, and I was like, oh my god, she's a Palpatine, and we both just like could not stop laughing. Like, we just lost it at that because it was just so unexpected and so weird and just completely ridiculous. Like, I didn't even have a moment of like, oh, I hate this. I was just like, this is stupid, and I'm all in on it.
I saw it in we saw it in the big screening down in Knox in Melbourne with the fan club here, the Star Walking fan club, and so it was like a 700 or 800 seater, huge room full of fans, and there was cheering and all that kind of stuff like that, which is great. It's a really good crowd, but at the same time, I think it was. I just remember being a bit of stunned, like because the movie goes so quick. It's so like especially the first half of the movie is like, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here, we're gonna get this thing, we're gonna do this thing, we're gonna do this thing, and there's a lot of like, especially when you're watching at midnight, you've been up all day, and there's all like Kylo's here and she's here, and they're fighting in the same space, and now they're in the same space together, and it's it was I remember people being pretty shocked, I think. I kind of found that the crowd reaction is different to the different screenings. Like, I went to the fan club screening, and then like the day after just went to like a local cinema, and there was people who were into it because it's the day it's opened, and then like you go a few times later, it's just regular audiences, and people started laughing in bits, like the Reylo kiss, people were just laughing when Ben Solo died.
Every time I saw the movie, all 4 showings I went to, every time there was the kiss, I heard like a communal ugh. and so every time I saw it, I would laugh because I would hear that, and then that would make me laugh.
Just waiting for it.
Yeah, like everyone. So I guess a lot of people, like a lot of casual people, were like, ugh, typical romance, like can't help themselves kind of thing. Like, it wasn't even like people cared about Reylo. I think it was just that people were like, must we do this? Must this be how this ends? Like, they're gonna kiss now, I see. So I think just the general audience reaction there was just very funny to me.
Well, when I took my partner, we went on the Friday, so I'd already seen it twice by then, and she went, and I took my best friend and his family. He's got kids, are sort of 10 and 7 or something, so perfect age for Star Wars. And I, and my partner, she cried when Ben Solo died. Like, she got like, she's a bit of a crier in movies, and she likes Adam Driver, so I think there was a bit of that going on as well. But she'll happily sit through a Star Wars. She won't go at midnight, but she's gotten reasonably invested in Rey's story. Like, I remember at Force Awakens, she cried when Rey, gets in the Falcon with Chewie and is like, time to take on my mission, like that got to her. So and that's about as hardcore as her Star Wars fandom goes. But I did get to a point in like the 4th or 5th showing of this movie, like, when are people going to laugh? Are the people going to cheer? Are they going to go quiet? Are they going to? It was a bit of everything.
Yeah. I wish I'd seen it more times in cinema, honestly, because one of my favorite things about seeing Star Wars movies in cinema is seeing all of the audience reactions. Like, there was one time I went to see The Last Jedi with, again, my flatmate Kelly, and we were in a pretty empty theater because it was quite a bit into its run, and there was just this one guy who was really into it. He was just really into it, and when Rey cut Snoke, or Kylo cut Snoke in half, this guy was just like, "Suck it, Snoke," really loudly. And apparently he also said something, he yelled something when they did the Holdo maneuver, but I timed going to the bathroom wrong and missed that. But I really love like really enthusiastic viewers and just seeing what like they act like. There was also one kid when I saw it who was sitting quite near us who like kept asking her mum like, "Where's Rey? Like, where is Rey? Why isn't Rey here yet?" And I was like, "Don't worry, she'll get here soon. Don't worry.
She's not going to be a Palpatine, don't worry." Yeah, I have to wonder. Like, my kids are little. My daughter's only 4, but like she knows Rey. Like, with the Star Wars stuff that she's seen, she really likes the Galaxy of Adventure stuff, like the shorts, and like that's just perfect way in. People and the Forces of Destiny. Like, people poo-pooed those. Like, what is this? Who's this for? It's like these are absolutely for her because she, they're quick. She can get a gist of the story and the characters and stuff like that, and and so she knows Rey, and she knows a bit. But I kind of wonder when she gets big enough for the movies how she'll feel about Rey, being related to the baddie, because she's got a very like, is this person a goodie? Is this person a baddie? But she kind of goes, oh, I'll have to wait till I'm 6 or 7 before I watch watch the movies. I don't think she'd rather just watch Frozen, to be honest. So
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, my nephew's only really just hit the age because he's 10 now, I think. No, he's 9. I think he's 9. Oh, I should really remember this at this point. But yeah, he kind of just hit the age in the last year-ish where we could start watching Star Wars movies. So I've been going through them, and I've been like tossing up with my sister on whether or not we can like do Rogue One anytime soon, because I love Rogue One. And also like figuring out whether or not the sequel trilogy will work as well, because we just finished Revenge of the Sith, so now we're like, oh, what do we do?
That's pretty heavy in places, Revenge of the Sith, though. Like that last, like Anakin catching on fire and stuff, it's pretty full on, like I...
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It makes me emotional every time as well.
I fell into this rabbit hole watching YouTube videos, like... I think because I started watching Marvel stuff, like because I've got like Disney Plus, and I just started because the original Iron Man was on TV, and I just fell down and started watching it, like because it was just on TV, and then I was like, why am I sitting through commercial breaks? I literally can push 3 buttons and I can just watch it, because then of course it's the same as getting a DVD, but then you've got to commit, like you're like, oh well, I'm sitting down. So I was like, I'll watch the original Iron Man. So I started watching that. I was like, oh, this is really good. I'm like, oh, I'll just move on to Iron Man 2, and I just started working my way through like the Tony Stark, then I was watching the original Avengers, and it's crazy how quaint the original Avengers is now. Like it's really weird.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's like, and they're all such like either assholes or sort of dumb. Like they're like.
It's really the Joss Whedon school of writing with those characters.
But like Captain America is such a like naive chump, and like because you go to Endgame, they've all sort of been through a journey. They're all sort of more normal people, I suppose. But they're just so caricature-y in that first one. But
yeah, they really are.
So the point I was making was that. Like I just started watching these reactions of like, oh, I stuck a recorder into like Endgame screening, and here's the audience reaction to scenes in films, like like the Endgame portals and blah blah blah. And I started watching a Rise of Skywalker one, and it was like a normal, people were cheering, ooh ah, and then it had this little clip at the end where it was like, or it could be like this screening, and it was like the bit at the end where Rey is like. She's on Tatooine, and the lady's like, "Who are you?" And this chick, and there's a whole bunch of them going, "No, don't you effing say it! Don't you freaking dare!" She's like, "Race girl." They're like, "No, boo, you suck!" They're like just screaming in this. I don't know if it's been put on or not, but it was like these. And I don't want to generalize.
What a wild reaction.
It sounded like it was mostly ladies, and that's not to say there weren't dudes yelling in there as well, but they were screaming. They were so mad about Rey Skywalker.
Wow, that's so weird to me.
If I can find the clip, I'll send it to you. It always made sense to me
that it would happen. Oh my god, please do. I need to hear this.
All right,
but like even from The Force Awakens, I always thought that she'd end up being a Skywalker. I love it when movies prove me right, and I ended up being right about a lot of stuff. I mean, in the general sense, I was right about a lot of stuff. Like, in the general sense, I was like, Ben will redeem himself personally, and then he'll die, which I was right about.
Yeah, that and I also like a no-brainer to me. Like, it's Star Wars.
Yeah, like, exactly. I'm like, this is... Like, I was like, this is just storytelling 101 kind of thing. Like, they're obviously going to follow these certain archetypes. But I was also like, Rey is not going to be a Skywalker by blood, but she will become a Skywalker, was what I was thinking ever since The Force Awakens was my thinking. Mm-hmm. And when that actually happened, I was like, woo!
You just wave your hand around and high fives. And like, hey, you just slapped us. Keep
part
your
of me
hands
was
down, man.
excited about being right, but also part of me was like, it just makes sense that she would be that. So I don't know why people would hate that so much.
Especially when the movie was called The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I think a lot of people expected Ben to turn and become the hero, and I was like, but he's the antagonist. Like,
he's got to pay.
He's like, yeah, he's got to pay. He's still the bad guy. He's still the Vader of this. He's just got a little bit more Anakin in him too, and I think that's why I liked his character so much. Is he was very much like Anakin and Vader in one character,
which is way better, like way better actor as well.
Oh yeah, such a good actor as well. He did it very well. Like, I hate Kylo Ren, but I love Ben Solo. I've always been like, Ben Solo seems like a cool guy because I love the tragic kind of hero character.
Have you read any of the comics or anything like the Rise of Kylo Ren comic or any of that stuff?
Not yet.
It's really
I really want
to,
but I keep being bad at that.
Because like I might have even brought this up on another podcast, and too bad if I'm telling the story to Steph now, so bad luck. That like, cause you get that kind of 5 minutes of Ben Solo being the man in the Rise of Skywalker. He comes in, saves, does the run in, helps Rey. He does his little like shrug. He's sort of showing a bit of personality, a bit of swagger. And people are like, oh my god, this is what Ben Solo. This is the Ben Solo that we needed all along. But then in that Rise of Kylo Ren comic, it takes place like it kind of goes when he's a bit younger, sort of like 12, 13, and then it jumps up to before he turns to the dark side. he's a whiny little pain in the ass. There's no cool swagger Ben Solo anywhere. Like he's literally just like a mopey, you know, he's more closely to just that Anakin kind of. He's not that guy. It's almost like he just sort of had all this time to think about being cool after he'd been through what, like almost being bad has made him a bit cooler. You know, like if he'd just been that, if he'd sort of just stuck, he just would have been annoyingly Jedi. Like he wouldn't have been that cool. He would just been a mopey Jedi.
Just kind of like Anakin without the badass, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he was like, I feel like Ben Solo himself is like a very good, kind-hearted kind of dude, but also I guess he'd probably be kind of a wimp. Like a bit more like, Obi-Wan's not a wimp, but a bit more of like the Obi-Wan to the Anakin kind of personality, which if like you're not Obi-Wan, you can't really pull that off, I feel. But I think trying so hard to like be like Vader and be someone, you know, cool, probably not specifically going for the cool factor, but you know, being someone cool, and also like being like, screw you dad, I hate you, probably brought a lot of that out in him. Like
yeah, there's a lot
especially
of
like I guess his dad's swagger and stuff, like especially probably like once he killed him, he was like, it's my swagger now.
There's only one cool Solo in this family, Dad. It would be hard though. Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's just like if your dad's Han Solo, the coolest guy in the galaxy, and you want to be cool, people are just like, dude, don't even bother. You know.
Yeah, it's not gonna work out. You just
well...
gotta like. Your two parents are like extremely cool. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, you know, he could have got into the other side of the business. He never really asked you questions about his grandma. He could have they were like, oh, maybe we hoped you'd get into politics or something. You know, rather than look into your grandpa's deeds. Like, you know, Padme did some good stuff for a while there. Maybe get involved in the family business.
I would have liked an alternative sequel trilogy where instead of emulating Vader, he's just emulating Padme. Yeah. I guess there wouldn't have been as much like tension and everything. But I would have liked.
We've just been wondering what outfit Adam Driver was wearing in every scene. Like every scene, Ben Solo turns up and he's just in this like crazy big ornate like outfit.
That is my biggest issue with the sequel trilogy. Actually, is that it does not have anywhere near as many amazing outfits as it could have had, in my opinion. Like we missed out on there's the concept art of like Finn and Rose like wearing these amazing outfits for Canto Bight and The Last Jedi, and obviously Finn's tuxedo jacket is like backwards or something. He starts a new fashion because of it, and Rose looks amazing in her gown. Yeah, I love it. And I'm still mad we missed out on that, because like these movies have a lot of money. Just make some cool outfits for the characters. Like I love the outfits they've got, but make more big elaborate things.
Kind of put them back into the, you know, they kind of shoved them back into the roughest side of the galaxy, didn't they, really? You know, like we sort of we had a little time in the Renaissance and the fluffy outfits and things, but and then we got stuck back into the overalls and you know, looking like you've got a potato sack with a belt around it kind of thing. Yeah,
I'm glad. I really do like the evolution of Rey's costume a lot. I love that. But the other characters, like, their outfits are relatively forgettable to me at that point.
Yeah, I think Finn got kind of... I remember at Celebration, John Boyega going like, oh, you know, he's finally got his own, like, you know, he's got his own outfit, he's got his own sort of identity. And I'm like, he got some blue pants, I guess. That's something, you know. Like, when they're like, Oscar Isaac staying there looking like, you know, the lost Indiana Jones brother or something. I was like, probably should have tried a little harder on Finn. You know, Oscar Isaac sort of swung
I like his new hair.
Cool.
His new hair looks good.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, but otherwise I'm like, forgettable outfit, because, I don't know, Rey's obviously has like a very strong silhouette because it's got the whole Jedi influence and everything. And I guess maybe Finn got a little bit muddled up throughout the whole 3 movies, that he didn't quite get a strong, like, thematic silhouette, if that makes sense.
Just imagine what Ben Amidala would have had. You know.
God, that would have been amazing. So amazing.
Now I'm gonna have to Photoshop that. That's probably gonna, you know, we've got to top that cover from the last summer you're on with Ray with the Michael Jackson thing on it.
That was really good.
Yeah, I used that when the Rise of Skywalker premiere was on. The Star Walking Club, because I'd done some work for them, said, "Oh, do you want to put a little ad and we'll put it up on the big screen before the movie?" And so I did like an ad and I put some album art on, and your episode was on there. So the Ray with the Michael Jackson album cover was on the big screen down in there in Melbourne.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So that was very cool.
That's so cool.
So are you sort of thinking like, where, like, obviously, like, the world is ground to a halt now. Like they seem to think they've got Mandalorian season 2 in the can, and that's going to come out at regular time now. Where do you hold hope for stuff like Obi-Wan? Do you think is this going to be another year now? We're just going to have to kick that can down the road?
Yeah, I guess it depends on how things go. I guess particularly in the States, because a lot of the work happens over there.
Well,
I don't know.
I heard
do the movies.
a rumor that they were talking about filming Obi-Wan in Sydney because Disney owned the Fox. Oh. They own the Fox Studios again now because they bought Fox, and that's where they shot episode 1, 2, 3. So as we sort of said before, Australia and New Zealand looking like they might be open for business before other places. They could, they could put Ewan McGregor on a plane, lock him in a hotel for 2 weeks, and then send him out to Sydney to shoot Obi-Wan. But
not the worst case scenario, honestly. Like, I feel like Obi-Wan will probably get delayed a little bit. I feel like, didn't they already say it was going to be delayed, or it was already going to have delays because of the script stuff? It seems like they're mostly ready to go on it, but they've got to do whatever they got to do and their scheduling. And I imagine, if we have to wait another year for Obi-Wan, I wouldn't be surprised. But you know what? I will wait as long as I need to wait to see his gorgeous face back on screen.
I'll just take it. Yeah. Did you see Birds of Prey?
I did. Oh my god, he was so good in that.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? It was funny that that it was all he came. I think maybe you were on around that time where he came on to. It might have been the day after. Because I think we saw that little... I think when you came on last time, we had that little snippet of footage with the Dark Ray stuff, and that's what that sort of spun off. And I think the day after, I think we might have talked about, will we see Ewan McGregor? Will he turn up? There's a rumour, blah, blah, blah. And then he turned up, and he's like, yes, I'm doing bloody Obi-Wan, right? Freaking stop him in the street.
Yeah.
And then right as Birds of Prey came out, he's up doing press. They're going, we're just going to push Obi-Wan back for another year or whatever. He's like,
yeah,
come on, man. I thought I was done. But like you said, we've waited this long.
Yeah, I will continue to wait for this Obi-Wan series as long as I need. And I mean, until then, Mandalorian, I love Mandalorian. I love it way more than I thought I would, so I'm keen for more of that. And I also like the next Alphabet Squadron book. I hope is still going to come out on time this year, and that's either July or October. I can't remember which. Mm-hmm. But I'm very excited for that.
So what about...
I love Alex Freed.
What about High Republic? Where do you land on that?
I'm interested, but not fully sold yet.
So putting your Rider hat on. Let's put Rider hat back on. Let's put Saf's Rider hat. If you got a call, your phone lights up and you're like, unknown number, I don't know what this is. And it's like, hi, Saf, it's Kathy Kennedy here. Would you like to come to a little Rider retreat at Lucasfilm for a couple of weeks? We're going to nut out some Star Wars stuff. You get to go in, you're in the room, you're representing New Zealand. I don't know if there's anybody else from New Zealand there. And, they put you in front of that. Just put some stuff on a whiteboard, Saf. Just, give us throw some stuff on there. What kind of stuff are you chucking on? Are you, let's just say, we won't get this too blue sky. Let's keep in the parameters they're going. We want to do a new era of Star Wars called the High Republic. It's going to be 200 years before Phantom Menace. What kind of stuff are you, Rider hat, what kind of stuff do you want to see there, new Lucasfilm employee, Saf?
Because the things obviously I would write my things, they'd probably be in the We Wish column, but I would be extremely weird, first thing that I would put on there, extremely weird, because there are some eras of Star Wars that are extremely weird, and they're my favorite eras. And obviously I'd go for some droid sentience in there, love some droid sentience talk. Obviously, that can't go that far because of later movies, but that also would be an interesting thing to look into as well. I would also really like to go into non-combat Jedi, other aspects of Jedi, which I feel like they probably will end up doing in this because it's meant to be at a time of the Jedi aren't big warriors.
They're kind of hippie. They're kind of hippies, aren't they? They're looking a little bit sort of hey man, just everyone chill out, man. All right, let's just a lot of mediation going on, a lot of sitting around a table and nutting it out.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Because my favorite Star Wars books are apart from the new canon, ignoring the new canon because there's nothing weird in there. Is I think it's Rogue Planet, which is written by Greg Bear, who writes some weird stuff. And it's Anakin and Obi-Wan on some weird alien planet, and it's great. It's so weird. And then there's a Knight Errant, which is just in an era before the Rule of Two, so the Sith. There's just so many Sith. They're just off doing their own weird things. And I would love to see more of that. I would love, like, honestly, that would be my big thing if I was in, say, like, the High Republic. I'd be like, okay, may not be able to use a Sith, but can we have some weird Darksiders doing some weird stuff off on their little side of the galaxy that we can kind of, like, peek in on? Would be, like, my big dream, I think, with that kind of, like, new era Star Wars.
They're just setting up societies, building shopping centers, forming governments.
Yeah, they all have, like, their own weird cults and stuff. Like, if you haven't read Knight Errant, it is worth reading because it really kind of explores a different side of, like, Sith and Jedi.
They're just always on a constant hair trigger. Like, at any minute, like, a fist fight just breaks out because they're always just, angry. It's just the whole planet of dark side people. It's just like, I don't know if you ever read Asterix comics, like, they always just fall into a punch-up every 5 minutes over, like, fish being too smelly. So that's just like a whole planet of dark siders. They just punch on all the time because they're just perpetually in a bad mood.
Yeah, exactly. Like, like, the Sith there are, like, it's basically a family of Sith. Like all these siblings with like massive sibling rivalries because they're all Sith. They all have like each of them has their own planet and they just constantly have little like petty fights about things, but they're Sith, so they're like big petty fights. It's great. I love that stuff. And then also my favorite Star Wars book ever is Red Harvest, which is about Sith zombies. It's great. Also before the rule of two. It's back like, because it's part of the whole Sith are trying to be immortal, so they're doing whatever they can to find immortality, and so they get this like Jedi flower thing that this one Jedi is attuned to as like, her thing is plants, I guess. And there's a character in it who's Liam Neeson from Taken, basically. And it's a great book. Like, it's genuinely good horror sci-fi. But also it's like got some of that weird Sith stuff and like weird Force stuff that I really like. And part of the reason I like that book so much as well is because the main character, her thing, she's not a Jedi fighter. Her thing is entirely plants and like her connection to this one plant. And so I would love to see more of that kind of stuff as well. Like in the MedStar duology, I think they are, which is Clone Wars timeline, I think, which is about Barriss Offee. Again, legend stuff. And in that, her thing isn't that she's a fighter, it's that she's a healer. And so she gets sent to these places as a medic instead of as a fighter. And yeah, I want more non-fighting Jedi because I feel like there's a lot to explore in that.
Do you reckon they'll spin this thing off into like, this is the breeding ground for like movies and shows, or is it all just going to depend on how people jive with it?
I think it's really going to depend on how people react to it. Like, they'll definitely want buy-in from audiences before they decide whether or not to commit a big movie to it. But I think as well, like, if it does well enough, they'll probably pull it into, like, TV stuff because it is a new era for them to play in. So they can get, like, now they just have this whole little, like, sandbox, which doesn't really affect anything for the later stuff. They could, like, if they get a pitch from a director they like or something, or they want someone in particular to work on Star Wars, they could be like, hey, we've got this whole little area, we've got some established characters. Yeah,
we don't really, but I mean, it makes sense. I mean, some people going like, oh, they should have gone further back, and I sort of said, I think that they want to keep Knights of the Old Republic in the pocket. They don't want to get too close to that. They're just like, hey, in case of emergency, break out Knights of Old Republic.
Oh my god, you're totally right. Yeah.
Well, somebody made an interesting point today because they, because like Disney's like effectively shut down at the moment. No one's making anything, not making new content. All the theme parks are closed, and Bob Iger, who's head of Disney, is just like, hey, you know how I said I was going to step back from the job? I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to steer this ship. I'm not going to. I'm going to cling on to this power as long as I can. He's the sort of the Vladimir Putin of entertainment companies or something. He's just rewriting the rules as he goes along. But like, but do you think like if they come out of this and they look at the books and they're like, oh, we're struggling here. We can't take any sort of risks that we thought we might take with Star Wars. We can't really do now. We got to play it safe. Like, do you think that they would just go, all right, we're gonna, like Boba Fett movie or I don't know, like Episode 10, we're just gonna fast track, something that's like almost like a safe money kind of thing, like the stuff like High Republic and all this sort of like slightly more dangerous stuff that they could have done. They're just like, oh no, we're gonna play it safe a little bit here. Like, what's Harrison Ford up to? Or
that's a really good question, actually. I hadn't thought about that. Because, yeah, surely they do have, like, certain ideas that they're like, these will, be our break glass in case of emergency and pull out Revan. I forgot her name for a second. I was like, oh my god, what's the character called? Or something like that. Though I do think they're a little bit hesitant about that after Solo, because Solo didn't do as well as they wanted, and I'm sure they thought Solo was a guaranteed thing.
And the question is Solo Solo's just a weird one because it's, it obviously didn't do the cash, but it got, pushed up, in between, the week before Deadpool or whatever.
It had weird timing.
It didn't get, everyone kept saying, why wasn't it just doing in that December slot? Because, they wanted to keep it away from Mary Poppins, but did it really matter? If it had made $200 or $300 more million in December, everybody would be going, all right, where's that Solo 2? That would be the thing they'd be able to, if it had come out and they had Solo 2 in the packet now, they'd be like, oh, great, well, let's call Donald Glover, let's call up, Alden Ehrenreich. He's probably not doing anything. We could bust out, that would be like a pretty safe thing. But now, given that it didn't make the bank, even though it's got the hallmarks of being safe, that's interesting if that was where they would go. They're like, actually, we'll do Solo, we'll bring in Boba Fett, we'll bring in Jabba the Hutt, we'll bring in all these, if we call it the Boba Fett, Jabba Hutt adventures with Han Solo and Lando, maybe it is a safe bet. I don't know.
I mean, maybe.
What is a safe bet in Star Wars?
In my opinion, a safe bet would be a Boba Fett film directed by Taika. Like, genuinely, I think that
this
would
is
be
the one
because Taika,
where we get Daniel Logan to play 10-year-old Boba Fett.
I mean, I'm not saying we have to get Daniel Logan back in, maybe. But I think like Taika Waititi is pretty much like beloved by the whole world at this point. I feel like people really liked Thor Ragnarok. Like, he's an absolute charmer on stage. He's very funny. People like What We Do in the Shadows. His other movies are amazing. If you haven't watched them,
I know
they're
I have.
amazing. Go watch them.
I have.
Yeah. Not you, but the listeners. Go watch them. They're great.
Come on, do it.
Yeah, the listeners. Come on. I really love Hunt for the Water People. It's one of my favorite movies. I feel like he's a safe bet. I feel like he would rock a Boba Fett film. Like, that's the only way you can make me care about Boba Fett is making it a Taika film.
Yep.
I feel like he'd really rock that. So not only do you have the character Boba Fett there, but also a really renowned like director that everyone loves. I feel like that would be a safe bet. But also, I don't know how easy it would be for Star Wars to actually get Taika on as a director because there's a chance he would be like, nah.
Well, I mean, every now and then the rumor kind of pops up and says, oh, Taika Waititi. He's a bit like, well, he's sort of like, well, I'm never going to say no. I'm never going to say yes. I'm never, wait and see. But I mean,
yeah, I think it would very much depend on like,
because like Boba Fett obviously has lots of fans, but he does also represent a side of fandom that other fandom are a bit like, that's just like dudes who like, jetpacks and stuff like that. And, and that's true to a degree. I've got friends who love Boba Fett who are very lovely and it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, if you bring that, character with Taika Waititi, like you said, someone like you who are like, well, now I'm interested because I get to see
it'll have like a twist to it.
Yeah, I get to see, a dude with a New Zealand accent rocking around, which would be, played up.
It'd be
even
great.
More so, probably.
Yeah.
Like, he probably made
it would be really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look. Yeah. All right. There you go. You should better call Bob Iger and say, before you take a risk on Solo 2.
Just hit me up. I got some ideas.
Yeah. Like, Saf, you're already in the story group. You're already, like, come on. We've already got your Planet of Dark Side people idea. And
see, this is why I won't even make it into the story group, because they're like, hey, Seth, what are we going to do next? I'm like, just get a bunch of Sith, just a bunch of weird Sith, and just throw them off into a bunch of planets and just let them do their thing. And they're like, Seth, you're out of the story group now. I'm sorry.
You guys just want to play it too safe.
Yeah, play too safe. They're like, Seth, just shut up about the droid sentience. Okay, we cannot question that. It makes the entire series too weird. And I'm like, okay, fair.
No, it's got to be weirder. Well, let's quickly round back onto Mandalorian before we finish up here. I'm going to send you off, what did you think when you saw those little baby Yoda ears poking up? Did you know that was... Where did you watch Mandalorian? Did you just watch it at home with friends? Were you just sort of like...
Yeah, I watched it at home with them.
Did you have a little screening party or just sort of... we'll just pop this on and see how we go?
Yeah, it was just us. Yeah, it was just me and my flatmate. Maybe I watched it on my own first. I can't remember. No, I think it was both of us. Because, I had no idea what was going to happen. I managed to not get spoiled for anything. Once again, somehow Twitter's actually been not so bad at it recently. But, so I went into that without knowing. And then they're like, it's a baby. And they're like, it's 50 years old. And I was like, who could that be? Because I'd seen, like, rumors of, like, Rax Scalius or something like that. And I was like, is it going to be someone we know? I don't know. Interesting. Who's it going to be? And then it got to, like, the little baby thing. And I was like, oh, it's a baby. Like, my, like, little Star Wars brain can't think of anything this could be. And then, like, you see the little ears. And I was like...
Hold on a
damn minute. Yeah, I did like my slap thing. I was like, hold on a damn minute. Is this what I think? Is this what I think it is? Are we literally like changing Star Wars lore right now? This is like Star Wars history. I like lost my mind, and then I was like totally speechless for like 10 minutes after that. I just couldn't. My brain just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I watched it on my own first because I was on another podcast, and it was sort of the day that it came out when I was reviewing it and talking about it. I was like, all right, I'll make sure I've watched it. And then we had a screening in Melbourne with a bunch of friends. Our friend Matt from Blue Banther Milk, he hired a little bar that had a screening room out the back for like a 30-seater thing, so with a projector. So we had like a whole bunch of local fans and stuff. So it was kind of funny because I was sitting there going like, I think I was the only one who'd seen it. And I was just like, I knew it was coming, and I was just like looking, like going, yeah. And then everyone's just like, what is going on? This Baby Yoda thing. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm actually really surprised that he wasn't wrapped up story-wise. I kind of thought that story would wrap up season 1, but it seems like it's going to roll on. I kind of was like, oh, maybe he'll just be like luggage after a while. What do you do with him? Because there was a bit of like, let's just put him here and have an adventure, and then, But I mean, do you have any sort of thoughts of where you think it might end up? Like where we're heading next? We go into the planet of the Yodas?
I don't know, because it's hard, because the armor is just like, you've taken back to his people, and it's like, his people as in the Jedi, which is kind of what you've all been insinuating, or his people as in the little green guys. Like, I don't know if Filoni and Favreau have the level of, like, Star Wars power to, like, be the people to explore Yoda's race. Like, I don't know who would have that. Except for George, it feels wrong from anyone but George Lucas, I feel. And it would be interesting to see some Jedi stuff, but also this is before the sequel trilogy, so they can't go too into the Jedi stuff. So I'm like, I don't know I have no idea actually what they're gonna do with it. It's
a funny one that who has the power to go into Yoda's story, because obviously they have the power to do whatever they want. But I just feel like it's one of those things where you get George Lucas on set. And you just talk about Yoda, and he's just like, oh yeah, just make him have a planet of Yodas. You know what I mean? Like, he'd just be so like, this thing where it's like, oh my God, we can't talk about Yoda. It might have just been like, oh, why don't you just make a baby Yoda? Like, okay. I just didn't want to do it.
George Lucas, like, when he got asked, like, what Yoda is, he was like, he's Miss Piggy and Kermit's kid, so he's a frog. Yeah. It's like, thanks, George Lucas. That really answered the question.
Yeah, I think that's why they're kind of like I'm sure that, like, Jon Favreau, like, because, Lucas is on that set, and they probably would have said, hey, we're thinking about doing this Baby Yoda thing. Can you? He's just like, oh, yeah, whatever. Like, he would have just gone, oh, well, Yoda's 900 years old, so maybe there could be other... Like, he wouldn't give any information that nobody would obviously know. He's not going to go like, well, let me tell you about the secret. I've got a book this thick of the history of Yoda. It's just like, he's just flying by the seat of his pants. He's just like, well, whatever.
Yeah, he's just making stuff up as he goes.
Yeah. And then it's just canon.
Yeah, and I feel like if anyone... Filoni's kind of his protege into that kind of stuff, I think, after the Clone Wars. So I feel like if he was going to let anyone be the person who, like, tells a story about the Yoda creatures or whatever, Filoni's probably, like, the more likely to be that person, I guess.
Yeah, but he's more, like, he'd be way more, like, oh my God, what do we do about the planet? He'd be more conscious about the impacts of canon and story and all that kind of stuff like that. Whereas I thought George is just kind of like, oh, whatever, like, just make him, why don't just hand step on his tail, like, whatever. Like, let's just move on.
That's what I do miss about George Lucas being there. Just George just not caring at all about what people are doing or, like, what they think. He's just like, yeah, all right, that little guy's gonna do that thing. And everyone's like, George, that's not how canon will work. And he's like, I don't care, just make him do it. Yeah. It's fine.
There was that famous one of the, he saw a picture of someone had drawn like a Twi'lek, but like with Darth Maul sort of like, look.
Yeah, like for some concept.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, we'll just put them together. And they're like, oh, well, she's like from 3,000 years before. He's like, oh, just make it a granddaughter or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he just...
Yeah.
Well, who cares? Like
make it happen.
Doesn't matter. Thanks so much for coming on, Saf. Being our guest on 99 seemed fitting, like you had the numbers to back it up, and it's always good times when you come on here. Where can everybody? I mean, everybody listens to this knows you anyway, but like, where can people grab you and hear your stuff while you're churning away in isolation?
So if you want to ask me stupid Star Wars questions, I'm on Twitter at Wanderlustin, WANDERLUSTIN. If you want to hear me talk about Star Wars stuff without caring about Star Wars at all, just like George Lucas, I'm on Rogue Podron. I'm also on Blaster Canon, which I feel like by the time this episode launches, we'll have already announced the fact that Blaster Canon is ending, but maybe not ending, just ending its run on Den of Geek. So if you do listen to that, or if you care about me and Megan and Paul, who are two amazing people, going into depth about like the extended side of Star Wars ancillary material, we'll have news for you soon.
No one's ever really gone.
If you want to listen to that, yeah, no one's ever really gone. Don't worry, they tried to kill us in Forcecast and we kept going, so we're going to keep going.
We're never done. The podcast never dies. Awesome. Well, you can catch our stuff at StarWarsSpelledOut.com. Hopefully, Saf, we will see each other in the real world whenever that's going to be, either when you pop over to Melbourne, whether come from New Zealand, whether we're Celebration 2021, the celebration that Saf pushed back for everybody. That Saf's prayers pushed back.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Great. All right, I'll speak to you soon.
All right, see ya.
Bye.